Gangplank, and you know, community loves harping on how broken he is. And with that in mind, it's going to be very interesting to see where the priority is going to be at. He's not going to get banned and not picked yet, but going to be interesting to see if 100 Thieves picks him up for the first time to split.
Yeah, it's interesting. It almost feels like he's daring him a little bit. You know, taking the Gnar blind. That's something, you know, people are pretty happy playing the GP into the Gnar, it feels like. And if he's not willing to take it, then, you know, it's kind of daring him, because this is obviously the most played is the Gnar for Ssumday. So both a good pick for impact and a little bit of a takeaway. And Closer, I think, at the very least, saying, I know what you're doing.
He's acknowledging it. He's reading from the book of Bwipo. But will... Yeah,
there it is. There it is.
Okay.
Very happy they decided to lock this in, because 100 Thieves love scaling. There you go. They're locking the Azir as well. That's a triple scaling carry comp right there already. You've got the Zeri, the Gangplank, and the Azir. All these champions love gathering items, love getting into the late game. And, well, we're going to have to see what he answers the Azir with.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, yesterday, Jojo brought out the Akali, looked pretty good on it. Poppy has been feeling so strong in the current meta to me. You know,
She's so good.
What are you feeling about Poppy these days? It feels like, you know, maybe even the strongest jungler in current meta with so many dash champions available.
Oh, there's Nautilus. The thing about Poppy I think that's most interesting is that she seems like she always has value. Her ultimate and her W are not relying on cooldown reduction, health, any type of statistics. And generally speaking, in competitive play, that's what you want in your jungle. A jungle champion that has value regardless of how much income they have. Because sometimes you have those jungle games where you run around, get 2 or 3 free kills in the early game, get a herald, get drakes, get plates, whatever. And sometimes just it doesn't quite, you don't quite get anything. And Poppy always having value there, with her ultimate, being able to split up team fights,
you can be broke,
is really
but you can still knock them away.
Exactly.
And with the enemy team still needing to lock in a jungler, EG takes a good opportunity. They ban away Trundle, one of those other champions that always has value no matter what, and also really likes eating the extra defensive stats that Poppy gets from her steadfast presence. So that's taken off the table. Jinx removed by 100 Thieves. They have their AD carry. Their opponents do not. Mismatched picks in the first half of the draft means the bans are going to be the same, as now we've got the Braum banned out from EG.
And you also know EG is going to have some real DPS in their draft. Like, it's relatively low damage composition here already. MF getting banned out. It would be interesting to see if we get a Kalista. Danny has not been playing a lot of Kalista, has been really much more known like for his Ezreal this split.
It's actually very unique. Danny does not play Kalista, is the general consensus.
Yeah.
He does not play the champion. So it's going to be interesting to see whether he decides to actually pull it out today. And he's played some games of it, but I know that from what I understand, he hasn't played it once this split, and it's a very high priority pick. That's the Kaisa. Wow.
This is a throwback. Kaisa Nautilus was like the LPL special a couple of years ago. Like every single game at Worlds, it felt like people were going for these dive compositions. So I'm curious now to see if Jojopyun is going to pair something a little bit more aggressive alongside it, right? If you are playing against Azir and Zeri and these champions that have a lot of range, I think it can be more difficult in those later stages. So maybe something a little bit more aggressive along the lines of like an Ahri or something like that for EG to try to be playing more heavily towards the dive.
What? We've got some more powerful scaling options locked in here.
Viego.
Viego.
There's the Viego. It's a closer special. I think it's one of the champions that doesn't mind getting his W interrupted. It does stop. It does interrupt him. It does ground him. But Viego doesn't mind too much because most of the mobility he has is still in his E. And, well, the ultimate, which he can't cast if he's grounded, but tenacity works. So it's not that bad. You usually have tenacity anyway.
I really like the Reanta pick here as well. I mean, if you're expecting EG to be playing pretty heavily dive, you know, Nautilus alt one of these carries, dive in on them, try to burst this person out, you know, with everyone coming in over the top. And then Reanta is a great answer to this, but Ahri just makes so much sense to me with the composition that EG have been building. It's what I mentioned earlier. It feels more mid-gamey, and it's something that can set up for the Kaisa and also follow up on the Nautilus engage with these dives.
I agree with you 100%. The only thing is when you're diving into a multi-threat composition,
it's scary.
You're going to have to really be precise on what you're doing here, because if you don't one-shot one of the carries, the Gangplank and the Zeri or the Azir are going to turn on you, and they're going to blow EG up. So it's really important when you're playing against triple threat.
PG-13 word here.
It's a real high damage composition out of 100 Thieves. Viego loves it when people run into him and gives him resets. He's going to continue to get going. 100%. Honestly, I would say 100 Thieves really wants EG to run into them, and it's going to be all execution for EG to see if they can do it cleanly.
So do you think 100 Thieves won the draft then? Or what would you say about the overall status of this one? At the if you had to give me like a forecast here.
If I had to, you know, put my money on it, I would say 100 Thieves won the draft. But the way I see drafts being played is like, you have to consider player skill, team skill. Yeah. These are things you have to take into account. You know,
it's so good at skirmishing.
It's different watching Gala play Kaisa and dive in, or watching Danny play Kaisa and dive in. in, right? Like they're both world-class players. The question is, you know, those little micro moments, who makes the difference? And that's going to determine, like...
Let's rock and roll! 100 Thieves going up against Evil Geniuses. For all of y'all that might have missed the draft and are only just now joining us, we got Bwipo here for the TriCast to bring us all the action. And speaking of the action, Bwipo, where are you expecting this early game to lead us?
So I'm expecting 100 Thieves to be pathing up to the top side because Gangplank and Gnar is generally speaking considered Gangplank is strong enough to bully the Gnar around in the early game. He's going to be able to get a slow push, potentially chunk out the Gnar. So if he gets low enough, potentially a dive angle for closer here. That said, usually people are aware of this, so it's a pretty stale early game in the bot lane. I think that the Zeri pick is considered to be a neutralizing bot lane champion. She doesn't really push her advantages, so even if you pair her with the Reanta, it's more so for the scaling properties to make sure that Zeri gets to the late game rather than to smash the lane bot lane. So both junglers pathing up the top lane. Both junglers pathing up to the top lane and making sure that the Gnar is safe seems like the safest bet. However, if Impact feels confident that he won't get low enough, we'll see Inspired go through the bot grab.
It's looking like a potentially pretty spicy level 1, though.
Yeah.
It's a late invade, but 100 Thieves are stacked.
All right.
They're not going to.
They're expecting a late invade here.
Vision,
Yeah. Thinking maybe an attempt onto the chickens there, but...
Oh, this was actually a level 1 gank and this was a level 1 gank angle from Vulcan and from Danny mid lane, but they got spotted over that ward. There's a blue... I believe that's a blue ward. I think
what I wonder?
their bot lane walked over there.
Is that this actually... So yesterday, we saw the Poppy Raptors to Raptors start, and I think that was the path that Inspired did. You know, the late invade to actually get the level 1 ward on the Raptors. I wonder if he was expecting Viego might have started on a buff, and he could actually go for the same style of path. You know, go down, try to take those Raptors away.
Well, I like the fact that 100 Thieves is aware that this happened just yesterday, that he did have this early advantage and didn't give him the opportunity to play for that here again. You can see our junglers are both pathing towards that bottom side of the map right now as Abbeddage and Jojo getting into it a little bit here. And we even heard from Jojo before this match kind of talking about Abbeddage in the laning phase.
So what's really interesting about the mid lane matchup is Ahri, generally speaking, gives push and skills W to try and get some harass down. So that's why you see a lot of trading going on. He manages to get the push. Now, what I'm really interested in is the way the top lane is going right now, because like I mentioned earlier, Gangplank does have the push on Gnar, can chunk him low, and if he forces the Mega Gnar here with the Viego coming up to the top side, that might be a potential dive angle.
Oh, I do love myself some early game dives if they work. You can see Closer still down here in this bottom part of the jungle, walking into the river now, but not choosing to go for any sort of an invade just yet. Of course, Evil Geniuses are still going to have the information there. That ward that was placed before the jungle camp spawned only just now expired.
And you can see how far towards the top side Jojo was playing. You know, obviously had vision that Closer was coming through the bot side, wasn't really at any sort of a risk, so Closer not wasting any time. Saw that Jojo was hugging towards top side, realized he's been spotted, and he's just going to continue clearing. It will give a lot of knowledge, though, over to EG. You know, you talked about the potential to try to pull off a dive on Impact, but he will have full information on where Viego is.
So what's really interesting about Inspired's pathing is he skips the wolves and comes to the top crab to make sure that there's no dive angle. As you can see, Impact's half HP, Mini Gnar doesn't have the Mega to keep him safe, and the wave crashes on the Gangplank side. Now, 100 Thieves weren't looking for the dive, but I really like the fact that Inspired made sure that if they were looking for it, he was there for the counter, making sure the Gnar is safe. Because as you can see, he's half HP, it's a Mini Gnar, he's almost one-shot. If Viego connects the stun, he's just straight up dead. And making sure that that doesn't happen, no accidents in the early game, nothing crazy. Bot lane is safe, mid lane is safe. Very good.
Little
bit of love.
Here. EG just scaring them away so they can crash that wave in.
Yeah, just a little bit of flexing to make sure that there's no freezing shenanigans going on for 100 Thieves bot lane there, and gonna take their free reset here. Now the Gangplank's gonna be trying to get his recall here. Missed some CS in the early game, so he didn't quite have his Sheen after the fourth wave. That's where you want to aim your recall for. Just gonna stay in the lane. Farm up for, you know, potentially something other than the Sheen. I would personally base TP here, grab my Sheen and start, you know, blasting the hell out of this Gnar, but he has a different view. Sure, why not?
Yeah, and I mean, it is a little bit risky, though, when you get trapped in lane with no mana as GP, because obviously you can start to really kind of give control over pretty simply to that Gnar, and Impact, you know, potentially can now push him in, get a much better reset himself. You know, Mega's out, he still has his potion. There's no corrupting potion charges left for Ssumday. He does have a biscuit, but there's not really any threat on Impact right now with GP low on mana. So, as you said, he's kind of giving over control by not basing, getting the Sheen, refilling on the potions.
And as we're talking about the Gangplank here, Bwipo, I want to ask you, as somebody who's played plenty of Gangplank yourself, this is a champion that we do see a couple of different builds and approaches in different games, different matchups, different scenarios. How would you like to see Ssumday build it and play it in this game specifically?
So there's two ways of looking at it. Is if you feel like you need to be a more frontline focused champion, someone that won't get one shot when EG's dive comp flies in, then you can build a more bruisery build. But recently, I feel like he's beefy enough since the durability patch that even when he's building crit, you still can't quite one-shot him. So as long as you respect the depth charge coming out of Nautilus, which is the only CC that he can't cleanse with his oranges, I think he's just going to straight up one-shot whoever is going to jump in if he gets a crit. And that's kind of Gangplank's name right now, is depending on how much crit chance you get, your skill improves. Because if you get the crit, you're going to absolutely run a team fight.
You're an amazing player.
How many cloaks can one pirate wear?
Oh, flash forward.
We got Inspired down here, looking to make something happen. There comes the lockdown from Vulcan, but 100 Thieves getting themselves away. The flash out of FBI staying alive there. Vulcan spinning his own flash, trying to make the play happen. Now Closer showing up. Doesn't look like they'll have the angle to make anything else go down here. So 1-for-1 flash trade's about all it's going to be.
That seems pretty good, though, for EG. Getting the flash off FBI, going to put a lot more pressure on him. Of course, Closer staying around, going to be able to push this in and look for a potential reset here. But there is the opportunity to try to make a repeat down towards bot side, try to take out FBI here later on before that flash comes back up.
Something really interesting about this game is that both junglers have been incredibly inefficient. Both junglers have been running around to make sure their laners are safe rather than farming for themselves efficiently. So you see the Poppy has 32 CS. He hasn't really been farming. He's been making sure he's covered top lane, when bot lane covers bot lane, and then even Closer himself, which had an advantage from farming, farmed both his bot camps, based, ran bot again, even though his top camps are spawning.
And I think this goes back to exactly what you were talking about in Champ Select, saying, hey, sometimes as a jungler, you have to operate on low econ, right? You have to make these decisions for the sake of the team, and that's when all these powers, like having Poppy's natural stats, having the ability to deny dashes or yeet somebody up in the air, feels even better.
Well, and it reminds me so much of an interview that Santorin gave last week when he was talking about playing against Pride Stalker, where he's talking about how, you know, sometimes the like worst path is the best path because it's the one that they won't expect, right? You know, you're trying to do something that isn't so predictable because people are so adept at tracking jungle pathing. If you're just doing a full 6 camp clear, resetting on your camps, people know the respawn timings, people know exactly where you are on the map. So both these junglers, I think, trying to subvert expectations somewhat and be a little bit less predictable.
I think that's very smart. Like in this particular case, when you have such volatile lanes, because I feel like Kaisa Nautilus, if they start getting an advantage, it's going to get really scary at 6.
Yeah.
Same way the other way around. If Zeri or Nala gets ahead, it's going to be quite rough. So Gnar's going to run down the Gangplank here. As when he gets Mega, that's his timing to really start skirmishing with the Gangplank. That's when he's really going to win those trades. And every time he's mini is Gangplank's opportunity to dictate the lane. So he's trying to flex his Mega Gnar here to try and get an advantage. But since both junglers are missing on the map, nothing too aggressive after that.
The situation also feels a little bit better for Impact because he does have the tier 2 boots versus only the tier 1 of Ssumday. We all know how range versus melee can feel in those sorts of situations.
And there's just such a dark top side of the map, right? Yep. There's no wards in this entire section for Impact, so you're not really going to want to chase back past the river. You know, all of EG's warding has been down towards this bot side, trying to set up for a potential dragon. You know, they had 3 pink wards down in that bottom river area, so very clearly playing towards that side. Impact's kind of on weak side duty for now. But GP going to be pretty happy playing in that situation as well, you know, for cross-map ultis.
Oh yeah, absolutely, when you're looking for the ultimate. But when it comes to the 1v1, Gnar is a champion that really tries to play in sustain. He doesn't have a resource bar other than his rage bar. And what's interesting about Gnar's resource bar is that it actually heals him. The max health he gets from turning Mega stays when he goes mini again.
You gotta love that infinitely sustaining lane state, unless you're laning against it, of course. Then it might be a little bit frustrating in those types of moments. But I like the fact that you bring up the dragons and the vision from EG, Isaac, because we have seen a couple of these in recent games here just this weekend. Very early Drake takes 6-minute, 7-minute Drake. This time around, it's not happening. The first neutral objective aggroed is actually Closer going after the Rift Herald here, but EG not willing to just let it happen.
This is looking like a full 5v5 setup onto this Herald here. They're calling it Gnar just popped his Mega, doesn't have Mega. That's why EG's looking to contest.
Oh, Inspired had 2 smite charges, so he actually used his 1 smite charge to upgrade the smite, so he could contest because he was on the undeveloped smite there, and he saw Closer did have his challenging smite, so now they both have the 950 smite. 100 Thieves going to back it up and actually give that away, but that's a clever play, I think, from Inspired.
Very much so. I messed up there. I called that EG's going to come contest when Gnar is mini. It was the opposite. 100 Thieves felt like they had a timing because the mini Gnar was just popped. Mega ran out. He was tired. So they start the Herald, see how it looks, but unfortunately they weren't able to get top pixel dot. They weren't able to get control there, and with Jojopyun waiting in that bush, they felt like face checking was going to be way too hard.
Feels really good to be able to walk away with that neutral objective like that. No fight required. You just come up, puff up your chest a little bit, look tough. They're not able to deal with it at all. And now we'll have to see where Inspired chooses to use that Herald as Impact. Going in here on Ssumday there with the Mega Gnar ulti. Of course, Gnar players often like to just throw that one out there, use it for trading, use it for wave clear. Ssumday is going to be taken low, and Impact backs away as Jojo tries to find a little bit of trading here with Abbeddage.
nothing too impressive here. Obviously, the Gnar ult's being used for trading advantage. Like I said, sustain is really important. You're literally using that ult as a trading tool for more sustain differential.
Oh,
baby.
Jojo, you might be in some trouble, buddy. Abbeddage takes him down to about 100 HP, but Inspired walking through a ward as he comes up to escort Private Jojo home. The Gangplank ulti hits him with the first volley, but Jojo reacts fast enough to dash out of the way of any further damage. The Evil Genius's mid laner just barely surviving.
Man, it actually feels so bad as GP when your first ult gets nothing, though. The cooldown is so long in the early game. So going for the finishing blow there doesn't actually get it. And it will allow Impact to play a little bit more aggressively in the 1v1, knowing that it's down. But so far, so good. It feels like 400 Thieves. You know, you talked about the heavy scaling that they were drafting for Bwipo. You know, Zeri, Azir, GP, and they're up 500 gold. There hasn't been a lot of action, which does feel like it favors them.
So there's a little bit of a CS lead in the top lane, but this is the thing about Gangplank that makes him so powerful is CS leads don't translate to gold leads because he makes so much free gold. Once he reaches Trinity Force, he also reaches a point where he's one-shotting minion waves from super safe distance. He has the oranges to cleanse any potential threat from dives. The champion is just incredibly safe and scales like an absolute monster, so even though a 10 CS lead is nice, it's not significant enough for Impact to really make a difference in the game. Like, significant advantages is different from having an advantage, right? Like, does 10 CS mean anything? And in this case, in the Gangplank Gnar matchup, it really doesn't. Great play from Ssumday, finding a base as well against the Gnar, because now he's actually going to have the pressure in the lane as well. So this 10 CS lead is slowly going to get smaller and smaller. It's really great play from Ssumday in this matchup.
Oh, 3v3 bot side. FBI going to be your target at the start as Danny has to try to get away. Inspired not going to get a whole lot done there with that ulti. Renata Glasc ult fired off now as Shelly makes her way into the turret. No one really low off of that one, but back here in the mid lane, we got Jojo in trouble again. Abbeddage is absolutely slamming this 1v1.
Again, Jojo getting away with so little health there. The skirmish on the bot side felt like it was mostly just EG fighting to get the Herald in for the crash. They are able to get it and get that gold, but you know, EG did not take any really early dragons or anything, so there's not a lot of pressure on 100 Thieves to actually fight them. 100 Thieves, I think, are pretty happy sitting back and farming, and it's going to be on EG to try to force their hand with these objective takes, with these objective setups, but really you don't have to care until third dragon, which is still a good 8 minutes away.
100%. I think what's most interesting is how well the junglers have been matching each other and how well Abbeddage has been using that to his advantage. As Impact trapping in the bush, he's trying to get a little bit of an advantage, but unfortunately he still hasn't based. You see in the inventory, Ssumday's up like what, 1,500 gold up on the Gnar. Like, unfortunately, Impact isn't strong enough right now in order to squeeze any leads out further. So what's going to end up happening here is Gangplank's going to try and get a base off for his Trinity Force. And at this point, as you can see, 2,300 gold in the bank for Impact. Spending your gold is really important when you want to push a gold lead. And in this case, Impact hasn't yet. So Ssumday doesn't really feel any pressure, even though he's a little bit behind.
Right, it's kind of another part of what you were talking about earlier with those CS leads not actually being gold leads. Well, gold leads don't matter until they turn into item leads. Gold in your pocket does not make your character any better at combat, and so Impact stuck up here with a Dorian shield and a pair of shoes, not exactly frightening to the Pirate, who, as you already touched on, can farm so safely, so effectively. It's just not that big of a deal. Ssumday setting down the barrel, can blow that one up. Back here in bottom, things are pretty close, pretty even still, but my eyes are on mid lane as Abbeddage has found Jojo nearly twice now, has never been able to seal the deal. 13 minutes in, we're still 0-0, no kills on the board for either side.
And Abbeddage had been getting criticized a lot for his laning phase, but we heard Jojo in the interview before the game, you know, talking about how, hey, he actually thinks Abbeddage is a good laner and that he is trying to make these aggressive plays in lane and really fight for prio, and we have seen that quite a bit.
So what's really interesting about the mid lane matchup in this particular game is, even though there's not any CS lead whatsoever almost on Azir's side, he's almost a full level up. If you look at Azir, he's already level 10. I checked the experience. Jojo hasn't hit level 10 yet, and Abbeddage is nearing level 11.
Yeah.
He just dinged level 10. Abbeddage is almost level 11, so he's got a full level up on Jojopyun. And why this is very important is because a level is about 600 gold worth of
It's a lot.
Like, one level is 600 gold. That's a lot of money.
And I also think that, hey, that's the reward that you get for chasing him out of this lane twice, right? Yes, it does feel bad. You talked about, like, the Gangplank ultimate not being able to get it. Jojo walking away with 50 HP. Yes, it feels bad, but at least you are getting that EXP advantage, that reward in some aspect. And there it is, Abbeddage level 11. As soon as he gets it, as soon as he gets the chance, he goes right in. Flashing over the wall, and first blood to the Emperor of Shurima.
Beautifully played. Flashing ahead of time, knowing that he has the WQ. He doesn't try to WQ over the wall, greed his flash, see if he can get the kill. Hell no, he flashes over the wall, knows that if Jojopyun tries to flash, it's going to be too late because he has the range to WQ. Because that's the thing about Azir is, his soldiers are really slow. So when you queue forward with your soldiers, you're going to want to make sure they go the shortest distance possible to be able to connect the slow and then finish him off. So really well played. Also, catching him on the tip of that Emperor's Divide. Quite impressive.
Yeah, barely getting him there with the engage. As you said, Abbeddage, committing the flash early. Closer, of course, coming in. They go in, they get him knocked in. They aren't able to land actually the Viego stun. It was pretty well played from Jojo. Lands the charm on Closer, trying to get away, but the flash follow was there. Even with 3 ult charges and the flash from Jojo, can't create enough space to actually get out.
And, hey, they get that second Drake, so any chance of having these early soul points, early big Drake fights that demand some sort of a response, those are nowhere nearby for either side. And now having said that, I gotta ask you guys, where do you think we're gonna really get that first big team fight then? Because this has been a very slow game in terms of PvP, and there's no Dragon Soul on the horizon anytime soon.
I'm looking at third Drake. Like, not even fourth, honestly. Like, the fact that there's one-to-one in Drakes is 16 minutes. They're giving up another Herald here, or at least they're investigating. They have a ward here. This is what I like to call it, like, you're sniffing around. You're having a little whiff of the enemy team, Anyone making any mistakes, You're not 100% committed to fighting to the death if all of their members are there.
Pretty good, apparently.
No, it's looking great. This is what I mean. Like, they investigate, and because they didn't put enough members on the Herald. Oh, never mind. This is going to be a full-on fight.
100 Thieves might have took the Herald, but they can't get to the eye. Evil Geniuses come in, and they're going to find the first kill on the Closer. 100 Thieves looking to get anything back, but Danny's made his way into the fight, and he jumps in with a killer instinct. Jojo grabs a kill on Ssumday, and EG are done. FBI is going to be taken very low. Danny nearly dead. Danny grabbing the kill, but Danny dying now. Abbeddage jumps back in. Abbeddage takes one out. Huhi's going to keep him alive, and Fire dies. And Abbeddage getting bailed out on Quadra kill to the 100 Thieves mid laner.
What a close fight. The 100 Thieves come out on top. Just barely not able to take Abbeddage down there. The bailout coming through. And 100 Thieves are way ahead off of this one. They got the early Herald. They are able to secure that, but EG was posturing for the fight.
100%. As you can see, 100 Thieves commits to the Herald because they were looking at the objective. They felt like, oh, if they're not committing members, we can take this fight. However, EG was like, wait a minute, they're contesting? Jump in with as many members as possible, and it looks really good at the start. In fact, you would even argue in the middle of the fight it looked really good, up until the very end where Abbeddage pulls off a hero play with the bailout.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Danny wasn't there at the very beginning, or I think this could have been a very different fight, but everyone from EG was committing in. 3 members, going in over the Azir wall, trying to finish them off, but Abbeddage playing this out so well. The bailout coming back up split second before he gets hooked there. They get the kill onto Inspired, so he gets the reset, and Vulcan with no mana, no shot to actually finish off the Azir there. A Quadra is close. It's like, look, good job.
Hell yeah. He died like 40 seconds before the last before Vulcan died there. So he's like, hell yeah, he's spectating. He's having fun. He's loving it.
That's the most common pro player role swap, is from pro player jungler to a cheerleader after you die, in the middle of the game.
Hey, somebody's got to be in the front lines,
right?
You
gotta love
Somebody's got to be the first one dead. But beautifully done there from 100 Thieves. An incredibly close fight. I'm happy to caster curse that one and immediately ask when's the fight going to be, and now we have a fight. This game just exploded, and it's 100 Thieves sitting on a 2,000 gold lead because of it.
Honestly, I think that's something that 100 Thieves does really well is like they try to investigate, looking for a stun here. Nothing really going to happen here. He just wants to make sure that FBI doesn't feel too unsafe pushing this wave in. He's going to crash this wave. They're going to try and see what they can do with the Herald that they picked up. I actually don't know if anyone picked it up because it was a...
I think it expired. I think 100
might have
Thieves got chased off of it.
That was a whole fist fight to the death, so no one actually managed to pick it up, but 100 Thieves did get the kill credit for that. So what's really interesting about this game is 100 Thieves draft has way too much damage. We're trading sides right now. Vulcan's looking for a dive bot lane. As they're going...
Let's see.
I don't know if they have damage to kill this guy. I don't think they do, by the way.
Ssumday just seems completely unimpressed, unafraid, unaffected, or is he? It'll be a 1-for-1, but a 2-for-1 now as Abbeddage is going to clean up the side of fries that came with that main dish.
Oh, he's taking the 1v1.
Now I got Closer looking for Danny. Danny's going to have a tough time with it. Closer going right back in there with a Heartbreaker, gets the stun. Danny did his best, but Viego versus Kaisa is a tough one.
Red Smite nerfs can't come in. Can't come in any sooner. Right there.
It's exhaust. It's all the above.
It's all of the above. It's a heal, ignite, exhaust, everything you want. Poppy will use to save the mid tower for a little bit. Is going to live. Scary.
Inspired. Okay. All right.
Manages to walk away. Knows. I think Zeri will actually ulted there. Yeah. Looks like
they're going to lose the tower probably anyway. I mean, I guess we'll see how... Okay, they're going to TP back in to try to hold this mid lane tier 1, but things are getting rough for EG. And they try to pull off that dive bot side. That gets thwarted. Top lane, they are going to take that tier 1, but Abbeddage is pushing in the bot lane, and no one's here to answer this. They're also setting up for the dragon, so it looks like everything is kind of going in 100 Thieves' favor.
100%. 100 Thieves playing really well, keeping track of where Inspired is almost, because honestly, EG, without Inspired in the bot lane, going for the dive onto Ssumday looked like a total blunder.
Yeah.
They didn't even have enough damage to kill him as 2 people, and they still went for the play. So definitely a big blunder there, looking for that play, giving Abbeddage another 2 kills, and then a fantastic follow-up by Closer, looking for Danny, because you know the Kaisa's going to try and get her ult off to get in there.
How are you feeling about the Ravenous second here from Ssumday? It seems like it's
terrible.
You know, you're not a fan.
It's
straight
terrible.
up.
If you want cooldown reduction in your build and you want damage, you want both, please just go Quick Blades. It gives you still the crit chance. Gangplank's crit scaling is absolutely disgusting. It's like the best crit chance scaling champion in the game, and you just don't have any excuses not to build it unless you're going for a straight up beef bruiser build, something like a Hull Breaker into Sterax. You're just stacking health, stacking resistance. Yeah, if you're going for the type of bruiser build in that sense, then I can see it. But the Ravenous Hydra Serylda's build that I've been seeing, it just doesn't make sense to me. Gangplank scales well with cooldown reduction, sure, but if you've got Quick Blades as an option to give you 30 ability haste straight up, and that's like about as much as Serylda's plus Ravenous Hydra is going to give you with 40. So I'm personally not a fan. I also don't think that the Tiamat or the Hydra has such great interactions with Gangplank that, you know, you're going to get the multi-AoE that you're dreaming of.
Right.
If you get a crit, it just outperforms any of this. And even if you don't get a crit, the items are still worth building, because at some point you're going to reach 60-80% crit chance, and then items like Infinity Edge are just straight up disgusting.
Being able to have IE in your build is just so ridiculously strong for GP. I mean, 1 crit barrel in the late game is game deciding, right?
It can be. It always can be. And that's the thing. Like, you're forcing the enemy team to play around that. Now, the thing about Gangplank, and this is why he's still a first pick, even though people aren't building him crit, is he has so much crowd control in the amount of slows and the effectiveness of his slows. His Death Daughter, the ult upgrade, straight up 90% slow, I believe. It's like 80-90% slow. His ultimate, I think, is a 30% slow, constantly in an area, and his barrels, they scale up to 90% slow, all making it so that if you get hit by a barrel, even if it doesn't crit, it hurts, but it just, your champion can't move. It's like getting withered by Nasus on an AoE scale. It's so difficult to play.
It demands a flash out or some sort of save from your teammate or something.
The zone control is just so powerful as well, right? Like, even if you're not getting hit by the barrels, having to play around them.
Oh yeah,
like,
100%.
If a team with GP has control around Dragon and you're trying to enter through barrels, things like that are incredibly difficult. 100 Thieves pushing in mid, trying to get vision control here around Baron, trying to move into the enemy jungle a little bit. And with Azir, Zeri, GP, like, they can kill this Baron so fast if they get an opportunity.
3 minutes on the Dragon is going to mean that the Baron's going to be like, it's going to be, like I said, a sniff, you know? Like, 100 Thieves is going to drop their control there. They're going to see, you know, like, maybe we can start it, maybe we can't. We'll see how it feels. But right now, they're really looking for those 3rd item completions, because that's really when Azir's going to come online. You see the large rod, straight up prepping him for the death cap. Infinity Edge onto the Zeri. That's where they're going to feel like they're going to decide the game.
And it's
However,
so scary, man.
Oh, it's so scary when they get there. The most interesting, and I think the biggest X factor, is going to be the Mega Gnar.
Yep.
Impact finding a huge flank, getting multiple people into a wall, potentially setting up Danny for a, you know, one of those patented pentakills, hopefully, is going to be what we're going to be looking at in order for EG to come back in this game, because it's going to be really hard for them to fight straight up 5v5 with so much damage and so many different, from so many different angles, really.
Absolutely. I mean, I'd also add in Inspired, right? Poppy does have that ability to be pretty game-changing, right? If you can eject the Azir or the Zeri or the GP from the fight, you know, and have an odd number fight, that can be really, really big. But EG's comp, it feels like it's so heavily execution-based, right? They've got to play these fights perfectly or they're going to get slaughtered, because they're outranged so heavily. You know, Kaisa cannot play front to back against this type of a team comp. Azir will murder you before you can even get in range to auto attack. So, you know, they have to have perfect engage, get that set up to be able to find those initial kills. But that's really difficult through bailout and the Reanta ultimate and GP ult for the slows, like all these things that are going to create space for the 100 Thieves carries.
I think that's the hardest part about this game. There's no cleanse on Danny, so he's going to have to navigate through Azir soldiers, through the Gangplank ultimate, through the Reanta ultimate, as well as the fact that even if he manages to do that, that might not be enough. Killing one carry is not enough. They have so much damage. Even if you jump on Abbeddage and finish him off, the Gangplank and Zeri, they're still really strong in this game. They're going to be able to turn a fight around. So looking at EG's comp, they've got 2 X factors. It's the Gnar ult, and I forgot about this one, but Poppy ult's a hell of an X factor.
Yeah.
You can do some crazy stuff with this one. So looking at how Inspire is going to split up 100 Thieves can decide the entire game when they go in together, because that's really what they're waiting for. They're waiting for an opportunity, they're waiting for a deep ward, a potential flank angle that 100 Thieves aren't thinking of. And that's why 100 Thieves is really good at this. They're just giving up everything, they're giving up the space, they don't care, they're scaling, they know at 3 items, they have absolute confidence that a 5v5 is going to be in their favor.
So put yourself in EG's shoes, right? You're playing the Gnar, you're impacting this game. You know, what are the key things that you're talking about then to try to find that setup, knowing that it is so difficult? What are the angles you're looking for, or kind of the kind of triggers to start a fight?
I think the first thing you need to talk about is item spikes, is when are we strong enough to fight? As the hook comes down on the closer.
Oh boy, closer trying to get himself away from this one as Inspired goes in, removes the Zeri from the fight. However, the fight has already ended. Closer is able to escape. I like the attempt from EG there, but they didn't have the damage to finish off the jungle.
And Danny has no flash now. You know, flashed very preemptively. I'm not sure if he was worried about Abbeddage or someone actually coming in on him there, but no flash on Danny is going to make his job to navigate this so difficult. Gnar is expiring, and 100 Thieves are going to want this fight.
Ssumday, the one who's able to lead the charge there. He can face check into these charms pretty easily because of the fact that he can eat the oranges and get rid of the CC. 100 Thieves now moving up. Closer's back to full HP thanks to the health that he got from just taking the chicken camp. No big deal. It's 100 Thieves with control over the Drake pit. They're the ones that only have a single Drake to their name, so Evil Genius is saying, all right, this isn't that good of a fight. We have no flash on our AD carry.
Vega,
just surrender it. Exactly. Just give him the second Drake.
Oh, this is really painful, because this is one of those moments where they were definitely calling, like, we want to fight to the death on this dragon. Like, this is where we draw our last breath. Like, that's the type of communication you're going to be trying to pull, where you're trying to focus on where do we draw our last breath. As Ronaldo comes down for the mid tower, it's a zoning ultimate very much so. Jojopyun might get caught.
Yeah, Jojo at about half HP. Closer got to be a little careful himself now as he Heartbreaker's back.
TP comes in.
The impact coming around from the flank, but he's got no bar. What is he gonna do from this angle? He's taken incredibly low. Closer coming in there for the stun. Gangplank barrel gets placed down. Ssumday's not gonna find that connection as Impact makes it away to the top side of the river. He's gonna be all right there, but Mini Gnar flank is not often the best angle in League of Legends.
No, it turns out Mini Gnar doesn't really do too much. He's also got a very tanky build. Fortunately for him, this is why you build tanky, is in case you get caught out in a weird situation like that where you're 1 versus X. In this case, 3. You have a tanky build, so it doesn't actually end up dying for this TP, but you can see they're desperate.
Yeah, I mean, he spends the TP and the flash, right? And again, these are the playmaking tools that they're so reliant on. When you don't have flash now on Danny, you don't have flash on Impact, that is severely limiting your options and your windows, I think, in a lot of these team fights. You know, it's like, even if Gnar finds that flank now, well, guess what? There's flash on all of the carries on 100 Thieves, so they have the ability to actually respond to that. There's cleanse on Zeri, there's the oranges on Ssumday, plus flash, so it's going to be tough.
He's got a stopwatch too, and as you can see, he's going to go for the shoulders. Not a big fan. However, this is a very important breakpoint in the game. Death cap is finished, and when Azir finishes death cap, the purple worm in that pit dies really fast.
Yeah.
It dies really fast. So you need to be very careful, because as soon as Abbeddage disappears into the top side and you have no vision on Baron, you're worried. EG is constantly going to be worried that 100 Thieves is starting the Baron, and we're going to see whether they actually decide to do it or not, because they've played this game very slowly, potentially waiting for even more items. But I think at this point they can actively try to pressure the game and really put a clock on EG's potential game-turning play.
And as the Rabadons comes online for the Azir, Lord Dominic's Regards being completed as that 3rd item for the Zeri here. I know you guys were talking about how Infinity Edge is so scary, but FBI recognizing, hey, with the Nautilus, with the Poppy, with the Gnar, with all these frontliners, I'm going to have to fight through these things as well. So just getting that extra armor penetration, bonus health damage. The carries are now officially online. We always talk about 3 item spikes. Gentlemen, we are there.
We are absolutely there, except for the Void Staff. So this is the interesting thing about League of Legends, is where tank items don't scale. Because of Void Staff, because of Lord Dominic's, because of Cyrilda's. That's the thing about the Gnar build that Impact's having, is it doesn't scale very well, because once those penetration items come in, which already 2 of them are almost completed, a 3rd one's going to come in with the Void Staff for Abbeddage, he's really not going to be tanky at all. So he spent all of his gold that he gathered farming in the side lane, trying to be a tank, but ultimately just getting one-shot by Azir and Zeri. Well, they're looking for this play.
Yeah.
No TP on Jojo, so he's very disconnected.
Impact's really going in here, looking for the enemy support. Huhi's going to be taken low, but the bailout might be able to save him. They can't get the kill in time. Vulcan takes kill number 1 here in this fight, but 100 Thieves are still looking to find something in return. Nice interrupt there on the steadfast presence. Abbeddage jumping in, seeing if maybe he can grab one of these guys. Vulcan's the sacrificial lamb. Abbeddage is godlike. Support for support. 1-for-1 trade. But 100 Thieves aren't done. Closer with a stolen Nautilus body, still looking to go a little further, but EG have ended the
They can go to Baron. I mean, you know, he's actually going to have to cancel his recall to avoid that Void Seeker, but they can potentially move back towards Baron. They have enough health. EG has some really low health bars there. Inspire went back to base to heal up. FBI gets charmed though.
Oh, FBI getting out of the CC, and it's going to be Impact who pays the price. Danny's in the back line, and Danny grabs the enemy AD, but he dies too. Jojopyun, he gets caught out. Closer's grabbing the kill on that one. 100 Thieves, 3 for 1 there. Feels good.
That's what I was talking about. Even if you manage to snipe FBI out there, great play by Danny to follow up. He holds his Kaisa ultimate until the very end, jumps in with the killer instinct at the very end, snipes FBI, but it's just not enough. Ssumday has too much damage. Abbeddage has too much damage. Like, there's still too many threats on this composition, and that's going to secure 100 Thieves the Baron play. This is the desperation I was talking about, where Impact sees a great play, manages to snipe out Huhi. One versus, I didn't know how many. He didn't know how many. He probably didn't have any vision. He just felt it, and a fantastic play on him to not panic here. He actually commits to the fight. He calls, I'm going to take the fight here, even though Jojo is very far away, manages to get the pick. But then, unfortunately, Evil Geniuses feels too pressured in the game. There's too much scaling on 100 Thieves' side that they feel like this is the best odds we're going to get. It's a 4v5. We have no TPs. Like, there's nothing really going on. That's why Vulcan hooks back in just to try and see if he can get anything done. But unfortunately, 100 Thieves is too strong.
And these fights are just so difficult because against Zeri, you know there's not really a way you're going to get fully out, right? Zeri's starting to stack with the ulti, chasing you down, can E over the walls, so they try to go back in and turn on these plays. If Impact had Mega here, maybe, but the bar is not charged up enough. He tries to go in and follow it up. Danny flies in, does at least get the 1 kill, but EG lose so much. They lose the Baron as well. Azir already at the death cap now has, you know, pieces of the Void Staff. Like, he's a full item ahead of Jojo. He's just so far ahead.
2 levels up, full item up. He's having a game of his life, honestly. Like, this is straight up what you want your Azir to be, right? You want to be a monster DPS burst machine. Like, at this point, he's a burst champion.
It's been a pretty incredible mid-gap this game.
Oh,
Abbeddage now trying to get back to safety. Maybe I spoke a little bit too soon. Bailout coming out. Abbeddage can't stay alive through that one, but they barely keep Danny on the board. Huhi's going to be taken low, but it's already 2 members of 100 Thieves of EG, excuse me, that have bit the dust. The remaining 3 try to get out, but Huhi, Closer, and Ssumday continue the chase. Closer's got the stolen Gnar body still, not gonna find the boomerang there. Bottom lane, the minion wave's already in position. 100 Thieves are gonna get 2 inhibitors off of that one.
We're gonna see if they're gonna look for an end here. It's a potential angle in my opinion, but they might just play it safe because they feel good. No, there it is. They're gonna look for the TP with the Azir in 25. So the thing is, this is gonna be a straight up 4v3 until everyone respawns, and then it's a 5v5.
Yup, first Nexus
one
turret.
Power.
It's already gone, my friends. Huhi, the only one low. The other 300 Thieves players all at max HP here for this one. Inspired, Danny, and Vulcan have got to try to keep these guys away however they can, but it is so damn difficult. Vulcan now having to back up. Inspired having to back up. He goes back in. The Nexus is under fire, but Vulcan's dead first. Inspired and Danny try to fight, but fight they won't. And it's 100 Thieves putting the second loss on EG's record.
A huge win for 100 Thieves. Very well-controlled game here. Abbeddage was massive for them. After that Quadra kill, that huge fight around the blue buff, it felt like it was all about the Azir. And as you said, Bwipo, even if they can knock out one of these carries, you know, they got that kill mid lane on the Azir, but so much has to be committed to do it. Once Danny's pushed out of the fight, they have no damage left in the composition, so the Zeri and the Gangplank just run them over.
Fantastic use of the bailout here. Both times, Abbeddage got so much more extra damage in the game-deciding fights thanks to this bailout, and as you just agreed with me, there's too much damage on their composition. So if anyone gets too fed on that comp and you have to focus him, the other 2 are still there. And it wasn't like Ssumday and FBI were weak either. They were farming out equally, and well, that's all she wrote for EG for this one.
And when I asked you in Champ Select, you said, well, if I have to put money on the table, I'm saying 100 Thieves won the draft, and I've got to agree after seeing that, man. Like, the Reanta combo with these carries, even if Bailout doesn't save you, right? Like, we got to see it get the save on the Azir. It didn't get the save that second time there at the very end, but still just the damage opportunity that it affords, clutch.
On EG's side, however, I love the X Factors. I'm personally, some people might consider me to be an X Factor player. I love taking champions that people consider to be, oh, they don't scale well, they don't do anything crazy, but making people change their minds of like, wait a minute, when this guy plays it, that does a whole different thing that I would expect. And I really love the Poppy Kaisa. Like, I like the dive comp. I like the idea. Into the Zeri, however, one of the safest champions. Not so convinced. You know, they see the Zeri first pick and they think we're going to just murder her with the dive comp. Not personally what I think is the counter to Zeri. She loves it when people run into her. So maybe back to the drawing board there, or just something they wanted to test. I'm not sure.
And it felt like, you know, 100 Thieves were able to call EG's bluff a little bit, right? They went blind Gnar. The fact that you said, hey, somebody has not played GP at all this split, maybe they were not expecting that to come out, but 100 Thieves had the answers, and I think played it out very, very well.
Well, High is going to go pro to pro with FBI when we return. But after a battle between Thieves and the reigning LCS Kings, it's the